He's angry about mortgages. It's Angry Mortgage. He's swearing. He's cursing loud. He's old. He's opinionated. And he's been doing this so damn long. This program is about mortgages, and this is mortgage advice, but the advice may not apply to your situation. Contact licensed mortgage professionals for specific recommendations before you make decisions about mortgages. You may not agree with Ron, but if you don't, he thinks you're wrong. Oh, and did we say there is a lot of swearing?
And we are back. There's finally a podcast where it's more like it was when Jan was here. By the way, Jan has left our company. God bless her. She did a great job. But she's left our company to go on to work at something with more sort of advanced level marketing. And we'll miss her. She did a good job. But no more Jan.
Here I am.
But this guy here, he's not Jan, okay? But he's a very strong part of our team. And I want to introduce you to Sacha Fabry, who is a guy we're going to talk today, because sometimes we stray away from the very basics of the mortgage business. And I think it's really important to talk to somebody from time to time who is every single day speaking to borrowers, new applicants, people with mortgage problems, people with mortgage issues, daily and up to date. And like as of this morning, talking to people about problems and issues and what they want for mortgages. Because, at the end of the day, I hope the audience understands we're in the mortgage business, and it's a fast-moving, constantly changing business that has a whole set of issues that we have to deal with every single day. So, Sacha, why don't you tell us a little bit about your mortgage career and a little bit about yourself?
Sure. First off, thanks for having me on here. It's always good to.
No, I just fucking told you to come on here. Okay, you were coming. Okay,
well, I was going to say,
Sacha, be ready at 2. I mean, that's it. So, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, 12-hour workday, walking out the door. Oh, Sacha, dress nicely on Friday. Why, Ron? Why? Oh, we're going to have you on the podcast. To talk about what? I don't know. We'll decide 15 minutes beforehand.
More like 3. Fuck. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I've been in the mortgage industry for 6 years now. Started in 2019. I come from a bit of a mortgage family. My dad was also in the mortgage industry for about 25 years prior to that.
What the hell did he do? I never knew this. Like, what did he do?
I told you this in the interview. You actually,
you think I was really paying close attention?
Oh, guaranteed you weren't. You're just having fun. So, my dad was 25 years in the industry. He still is. He has a boutique brokerage that he still operates. He was the head mortgage broker for CIBC for a few of their provinces for a time. He spent a great deal of time in the mortgage industry on his own as well.
Sorry, hold on a second. Head mortgage broker. Like, that means he was with First Line.
When we're talking about old employment of my dad and old policies and how things used to be, it's a little outside my scope. I know the high levels of what he did.
He couldn't be bothered telling you. I get it. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I can ask him again. We can have him. But he held the CIBC used his, from what I understand, brokerage license to broker their deals in various provinces back when they still needed that. Right. Now they don't need that. But anyways, 20 years ago, I think you and he exchanged emails where you called them the spawn of Satan, which you liked. That's good.
Did I call the spawn of Satan?
Something like that.
At least it wasn't see you next Tuesday.
Well, there you go. Yeah, but he actually he loved it. He printed it out. He put it on his wall, and it motivated him throughout the day. So, so yeah, I mean, I've been in the industry for 6 years. Started out at a brokerage sort of similar to this, where it was a lot of over the phone sales, and obviously survived through the pandemic, which was a difficult time for a lot of brokers, and saw the madness that came across there and the delays and how the industry had to shift since then, and have found my way to your doorsteps, where here I am.
So you've been at different places in Canada, right?
Oh yeah. So I grew up in Guelph, Ontario, where one of your previous podcast hosts are from. Shout out to Guelph. And then I spent about 10 years in British Columbia, living in Gastown in Vancouver while I went to university.
With the hookers and the drug addicts.
Well, so if you went left, there was a great
left,
deal.
right
Don't go
bullshit,
left. Yeah.
okay?
If you went right, it was the nice Gastown, nice restaurants.
Like, let's face it, you were about 120 steps away from the heart of the homeless apocalypse in Canada.
Maybe 125.
Yeah, I got it. Exactly.
But well, I mean, it was affordable.
Anyway, it was affordable because the whores next door were only renting by the hour. But okay, I got it. All right, so you're in Gastown. God, wow, you've seen it all.
Yeah.
But like I lived in Vancouver. I was born and raised in Vancouver, but I never, we avoided that part of East Hastings fairly carefully. Anyway, so where else? Where else in BC?
Well, I lived in the North Shore, lived in Squamish, and have found my way back to the GTA since.
Okay, so folks, for people who are not from Vancouver, if you live in Squamish, you're sort of in two categories. You're someone who is rich as fuck, or you're sort of part of the original community, which is it was just a little nothing town that, as Whistler blew up into one of the big ski destinations in the world, Squamish took on a whole different character.
Oh yeah, okay? Several different characters. Yeah,
because I was mainly raised in North Shore as well. In the days when there were actually a lot of poor people in the North Shore. People are always amazed by that. But if you go back like 60 years, there were parts of the North Shore that were like Fort Apache, the Bronx. I mean, you go down below 3rd Street, everybody's saying, what the fuck's he talking about? What are you, crazy person? Like the bottom of Lonsdale is like the most gentrified thing in the world. Well, let me tell you something, folks. 60 years ago, it was fucking not the most gentrified place in the world. It was a war zone. And so things change. Particularly over 60 years, things changed a lot. But I remember Squamish was like, just 60 years ago, 55 years ago, Squamish was just a small town on a beautiful highway. Well,
when they announced that the Olympics are going to happen, I heard stories. The city councilors at the time when I was there said everyone was gathered in one of the 2 or 3 pubs at the time, and everyone started cheering because they all knew that they had won the lottery, because all their housing essentially was going to double and triple in value because of the developments that needed to happen.
And also the real massive change in the highway.
Oh yeah, that to account for the Olympics. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. By the way, for people who've never been there, Whistler's just that whole drive through Squamish to Whistler is one of the most beautiful places in Canada.
Stunning.
It's absolutely breathtaking. It's like Banff. It's like the highway between Banff and Jasper. It's one of the most gorgeous places on earth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't. If you're Canadian, you should see some of this stuff.
Sea to sky, absolutely.
People should see those places. People should see. People should go to Quebec. And, take your time in Old Montreal. Drive up to Quebec City. It's some of the most. And then off into Atlantic Canada. There's beautiful, beautiful places in Canada. Weirdly, even that trip up from Toronto to Thunder Bay, although it's way too long, it's ridiculously long. And there's some really beautiful.
I've done that drive a few times. It's a lot.
Gorgeous places up there.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful country. We live in a beautiful country that's very spread out and is mainly garbage in the winter. Okay, except for people who love to ski or skate on the Rideau Canal. Speaking of skating on the Rideau Canal, so we have all kinds of political action in Canada.
Oh yeah.
It is just like batshit crazy. Like I think when people are, you need 4 or 5 years to step back and look at things. But I think when everybody steps back and thinks about the politics of this year and 2024, 2025, one of the things they're going to be amazed by is like, what the fuck took Trudeau so long to figure out he needed to go? I mean, there's like 100 ways that he could have made the transition to do leadership better, but he wouldn't fucking do it. Like, he really, I've heard this from many people in politics and people close to the party. who keep telling me he actually wanted to run again.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. It was that, or he was just trying to take a playbook out of what happened in the States. I think one of the two.
You're referring to Biden's dementia.
Yeah, well, Biden's realizing that he had to step back, and then having a last-minute campaign run that reinvigorated to the party. But of course, it didn't end up working out for them. It's not going to work out for the Liberals either. But it's one of the two. Either he wanted to, or he wanted to give the Conservatives as little time as possible to develop messaging against an adversary. I think one of the two.
Yeah, I don't see the second thing. No. I mean, if you want to give the next leader of the Liberal Party a better opportunity against the Conservatives, you give them some runway so that they can prepare, plan, raise money, run advertising, do things in a rational way, which this what's going on today has no relationship to.
Well, are they running to win though, or are they running to just not lose official party status at this point? You know,
every single political candidate runs to win, with the possible exception of the lady who runs the Green Party, who's fond of wine. Okay, so yeah, everybody runs to win. If you don't run to win, I mean, let's face it. People point at the Bloc, but the reality is the Bloc wins Quebec.
Oh yeah,
the Bloc wins Quebec very consistently. Bloc Québécois is so well entrenched in that province, and I've been to Ottawa on a number of occasions in Parliament, and I can tell you the Bloc knows how to look after their constituents. I mean, there's you can be as mad at the Bloc as you want in English Canada. It's it's a free country, it's your right, but the Bloc does a very, very consistent job of defending Quebec.
Let's see how they act as official opposition, because I think that's pretty likely.
That's a good chance of that. But so we'll just touch on it very lightly, because I covered a lot of other locations in social media. But we're down to Carney and Freeland, who have all of a sudden had some kind of come to Jesus moment where they all both decided they hate the carbon tax. I mean,
despite being the finance minister and helping develop it, Christia says she doesn't like it.
Yeah, nobody wants it anymore. I don't know how that fucking happened. Carney gave a particularly lackluster, in my opinion, announcement to his candidacy. It's hard, when you're a person, the skills of a central banker are not those of a politician.
Yeah.
And even though Carney is a brilliant man with a incredibly dazzling resume, he's, my opinion, he's totally the wrong person to lead the country. But he is, if you're not a politician, you're not a politician. I mean,
well, I think he's operated for a long time in the world adjacent to politics. So he has that for him. And I think you're right that he's not necessarily a dazzling superstar that the Liberals would like him to be. I listened to his announcement, and I think that he needs some lessons in how to give speeches for sure. How to really drive home this at the end.
Whoa. Mark Carney has been planning on becoming the next prime minister
for ages.
For more or less 2 full years. Okay?
Yeah, for ages.
He's had lots of fucking time to get trained on how to work with the public. He's got money coming out the ass. Okay,
yeah.
He can raise money like fucking crazy. Okay,
yeah.
He's got some of the richest friends on planet Earth. If he wants to get a shit ton of training about how to deliver messaging to voters,
yeah,
he had a lot of fucking time.
You're right,
and he clearly couldn't be fucking bothered, which is one clear indication of an attitude that may not work out well. So, for instance, I know this. If you want to be in the mortgage business,
yeah,
you want to be a mortgage broker, you want to be a successful bank mortgage salesperson, it takes a year just to know your ass from a hole in the ground.
If not more, yeah.
If not more.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So why the hell somebody, even with a great resume like Mark Carney, thinks he can become a polished, effective, and quite impressive politician instantly is beyond my fucking comprehension. Okay, I don't get that. But
well, I mean, I'm
going to watch it.
I'm not a member of the Liberal Party, so I don't know how they're going to vote. But who knows if they're running to try and stay for 4 years, or if they're running to try just for the election, or if, I suspect they'll go through 2 or 3 leaders between now and when the next.
Well, here's the thing,
happens,
though. If you're Mark Carney, and somebody was paying you $3.5 million a year with all those various things he does,
yeah,
why would you? If you thought you were fucked, I don't think his plan was to become the leader of the opposition. Okay,
Yeah.
So I really gotta. This is kind of an open question, but we're gonna find out. It's a very, very short campaign.
Oh yeah.
The House will rise again. The House of Parliament will rise again on the 24th of March. They don't have any choice. They can't. The government has to shut down. If they don't process some money bills by that time and do what they need to do. At that moment, we're going to discover one important thing at that moment. We're going to discover whether there has been a deal cut with the NDP leader, Jagmeet Singh, to continue to support the government, even though he has said quite clearly, quite openly, he will defeat any Liberal leader when the House is sitting.
Yeah.
So we're going to find out whether he's liar, liar, pants on fire sometime between the 24th and the beginning of April. But if he isn't liar, liar, pants on fire, we're going to find out that there will be an election.
Well, there'll be one by October, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, here's hoping for the spring.
Yes.
So that, but it's going to happen quick.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 24th of August is going to come out as fast. I mean, and speaking of that, there's a new president.
Yes, there is.
President Trump was inaugurated yesterday. And what the fuck? I mean, those are rambling, fucking barely comprehensible speeches sometimes. But anyway, it's going to be interesting. There's lots going on. We're going to know very, very shortly the absolute certainty of all these trade issues, tariff issues.
Oh yeah,
we're going to be there. It's going to run I think it's going to run really, really fast and hot. This is a man who was a president for 4 years and has had 4 years to be angry about not being the president.
Yep.
And he's had some time to plan. Here's the truth. I think he was the most surprised guy in the United States when he was elected in 2016.
The first time, yeah.
First time around. I think he was just totally fucking shocked. You could tell by the look on his face on that night that he won. He didn't know what to do, so he did what he thought he should. But after 4 years and all kinds of fucking madhouse antics, he knows exactly what he wants to do now.
I think that's pretty true of most politics, to be honest with you. I think most politicians the first time around are trying to figure out what they can accomplish. And the second time is, this is actually how it works. This is what we can do. And they try to actually get forward a couple of things.
Because there's no question that with the new cabinet that will be sworn in the United States, there is a mixture of complete fucking maniac lunatics and some reasonable, like this Secretary of Defense guy. Holy fuck! Okay,
yeah,
I think he's really qualified to do push-ups, but I'm not sure he's qualified to be the Secretary of Defense. But
there you go.
Anyway, there's some real amazingly wild people, and there's some normal kind of sensible people.
We got Mel Gibson and Sylvester Stallone who are going to be the shadow governors for California, helping him decide.
Steven Seagal was really disappointed. Like Steven Seagal was super disappointed.
It's a close third. Close third.
What? Like I got to admit, like I'm just gonna be dead honest.
Yeah.
When Trump was in the first time, I don't think I've ever laughed as much in my life. I mean, like there was literally
great for comedy
craziness at every, like a week didn't go by there wasn't some batshit crazy nonsensical fuckery that happened that I didn't think was funny as fuck.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm sure every comedian. Actually, I think Dave Chappelle is going to open Saturday Night Live again because it's just so much laughter and joy and funniness. It could be the end of the world. We could, the podcast could end in some kind of mad,
it's been good run.
Mad apocalypse sometime in the next year. But I'll tell you what, it's funny. He's funny. Like, I mean, like the idea that he's appointing spokespeople to go to Hollywood and do whatever the fuck they're going to do is like bizarre. Okay.
Hopefully there's a Hollywood left.
What was it? Mel Gibson. Who else was it? Mel Gibson.
It's Mel Gibson. I think Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Those are the two I
Stallone.
remember.
Yeah. Like, I mean, some of the things Mel Gibson has said in his life, holy,
honestly,
unbelievable. Anyhow, and Steven Seagal is very disappointed he's not on the list. But who needs that? Like, who would do that? Like, seriously, if there was a new if Kamala Harris had gotten in, would she have appointed like 3 nut bar fucking liberals to be the I mean, they're all there anyway, so that's fine. Quick shout out to all Canadians and everybody involved, and certainly the whole population down in LA. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, I haven't. I literally haven't.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen entire multiple blocks just wiped off the face of the earth.
It's awful. Yeah, I have family there, just on the edge. I look every single day. Yeah.
So what's the feeling down there now? Do they say it? You talk to them? You done anything?
You know what? At the moment, I'm just focused on: are you safe? Are you healthy? Can you breathe? Because of course the smoke is awful. And are you and the pets ready to go if you have to at a moment's notice? That's really it. I think what comes next happens after they get it under control.
Well, it's looking like it's going to be finished soon. But,
I wonder about the Canadian film industry. I wonder if they're not able to get productions up and running down there. Is that going to help our economy in Vancouver?
I don't think any production stuff was touched. That's my recollection.
Well, sure. That might not be. What about all the people who lived in the areas who work on the production?
Well, the rent's actually even higher in fucking Canada or Vancouver. So,
you got the U.S. conversion, so maybe it helps.
I tell you what, it is it's a whole bunch of people. This may be one of the times that you could say. And there's a whole gamut of people. There's everything from people who lived in poverty to some of the richest people in the world.
Yeah.
Whose houses have been burnt down.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's easier for the rich to just move on to one of their other homes. But
maybe
it's hard. Like, that's a hard and all at the same time. And apparently, at the best of times, it takes 3 years to get a building permit in LA. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I heard that's going to be a huge issue. What do you do? How are you going to rebuild with these permits?
Yeah, like for instance, it's Jesus, it's a horrible disaster. And I'm not sure who's right, who's wrong. Was there a way to have tried to prevent it or reduce it, or was there negligence? I don't know. Bill Burr told everybody to shut the fuck up about that.
I liked it. I liked his opinion. Everyone's an armchair firefighter all of a sudden.
Bill Burr is one of the funniest, best commentators in the fucking world. I mean, it's just, everybody who doesn't know Bill Burr, just start watching him online right now. Just go on your phones and start looking up Bill Burr. Yeah, sure. That is one of the trouble. That is the trouble with social media. There are instant experts to appear within moments of any major thing in the world. Okay, so
it's a good thing they got experts like us.
Good thing there's actual mortgage experts. You're right. All right, so let's talk about what's on the ground, boots on the ground concepts of what's going on with mortgage borrowers today.
Yeah.
So the reality is that we're going to know more about whatever disaster the Ontario economy is going to, and all the Canadian economy is going to get into in the coming days. We'll see. It'll either be as bad as we thought, or worse, or much better, but it's going to have to shake out over the next coming weeks.
Yeah.
So, just assuming that we're not thinking about that right now, my feeling is in the mortgage business in Ontario that activity's up. Versus 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So when you're on the phone talking to people, and Sacha, sometimes you'll take 20 calls a day.
Oh, more than that.
Some days more than that. So start with let's break it down. So is this renewal cliff? I mean, we know it's real.
Yeah.
We know that it's not. There's a ton of renewals coming up, and we're talking to a bunch of them. What's the attitude of most people? I mean, most people are obviously seeing a jump in interest rate, a jump in payment. What do you hear from people about renewals?
Well, there's a lot of rate shopping, obviously, right? Because
that's our actual fucking business.
Yeah,
so I hope there's some rate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, it's obviously a punch in the gut when you're going from sometimes a 1% mortgage, and all of a sudden you're faced with today's rates, which if low 4s, right, is realistic for a lot of people, and even then you want to make sure that you're getting the best deal. So shop around, absolutely. The banks are also being very aggressive, as you've mentioned in some of your previous podcasts.
What do the people say? Like do they sound worried? Do they just sound like they're focused on getting a good deal? I mean, I realize not everyone is the same, but what's the pattern that you see?
I think we live in an information age. People are more informed about mortgages today than they used to be, which I think is a good thing because they're forced to. They're forced to Google, right? Everyone who's looking for a mortgage, and anyone's kidding themselves if they don't think their clients are doing this, best mortgages in Canada, right? And they're looking up the various terms, looking up the various rates. People are obviously faced with inflation across the board and they want savings. It's pure and simple. And sometimes that comes in the form of a refinance. Maybe people thought they just needed a switch, but then all of a sudden they've got 40, 50, 60 grand in consumer debt that we can take a look at that might help them overall. The banks are, as always, not offering the best rates up front to people. So they shop around, they find what we're able to get them. And more often than not, they move forward with us, which is obviously a good thing for us.
Well, that's the fucking outcome
I know,
we're looking for, right?
That's a good fucking
Jesus
thing.
Christ.
It works for us. But we're a discount brokerage. So obviously we're there to help people when the banks don't offer the best rate up front, which they don't.
But the banks will also match a shit ton.
They will. They're very aggressive. They're very aggressive. So, what I would hope from people is that they come to us with at least 6 weeks notice, because it takes a minimum of 4, weeks to get something done, 20 business days. And a lot of the times, people think they have more time than they do. And so we'll get people saying, oh, my renewal is in 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's not a good approach.
No. And you have to have this conversation with them. And it's probably, I'd say 80% of the phone calls I take in a day is someone saying that my mortgage is coming up for renewal in 4 weeks or less.
All right, well, let's break that down for the public. So part of that is the triggering. The way the banks work is twofold. They will approach you for 3 to 4 months in advance.
Yeah,
because they're interested in offering you some sort of an early renewal. They can say, well, there won't be any penalty. Your mortgage is not matured for a while. It doesn't renew for another 3 months, but we can get you into this rate now, and then you're protected, and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So I think today most people don't participate in that because, as you said, they're coming from 1.49, and the best news they're hearing from the bank is like 4.69, and so fuck no, I don't want to do that right now. I'd rather wait till closer.
Yeah.
And then at the 30-day mark, most lenders, banks, will say to you, "Hey, your mortgage is fucking renewing in 30 days." Maybe the people on the phone from the bank don't say fucking, but they say, "Look, your mortgage is renewing."
They might if they
days.
call us.
Your mortgage is 30 days. No. Everybody should realize, I actually know how to behave. I mean,
he just chooses not to.
It's angry mortgage, so I can say what I want.
It's
but
true.
Everybody here talks to the public without swearing at them. We might swear at each other, but we don't swear at the public. So just edit that in, everyone. Make a mental note of that.
Yeah.
There's nobody cursing at each other, cursing at the customers at all, ever.
No.
So, although that doesn't mean it hasn't crossed our minds.
Yeah.
But look, no, we don't. We're here to help you.
I'm comfortable when a client wants to swear because they're frustrated about their situation. That doesn't bother me at all.
All right.
Call in.
So this 30-day mark hits. The 30-day mark is here, and the bank is saying, well, you got to make a decision. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people actually do decide to do the shopping. You can't always get that transfer finished in 30 days, but the truth is, we probably only need a few days of open term to get that. We know what to do to fix that problem.
Yeah, I think most people are actually very reasonable, and when you explain the math to them in a straightforward way, they understand that if worst case scenario, we have to go past your existing maturity to get you a better rate, it makes sense.
Does some people try to? You determine at some point that people are trapped with their existing bank? Does that happen occasionally?
Certain lenders, yeah.
No. I mean, their circumstances have changed, so they don't qualify.
Oh, yeah.
Else anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you said that firmly. Like you do run into that on an ongoing basis.
Like it's the majority of people have options available to them, and that's what we're here to help them with, right? But there are absolutely people who say, "Oh, I've gotten into a lot of debt since then," and you look at their credit, and it's not something that another bank is going to entertain, or somebody's been laid off, or someone's retired. That happens often. Oh, my mom co-signed, but now she's retired. Can I still get another mortgage?
Okay, I got you.
Well,
so that's not universal, but that's there is a pattern that can happen in the minority of cases.
Yeah.
Like, let's understand something. Everybody in Canada should know this. The unemployment rate in the city of Toronto is 9%.
Huge.
I can say that again, slowly. 9%.
What is that, like a 10-year high, 8-year high?
No, that's if you take COVID out.
Yeah, don't count that.
It's like an 18-year high.
Wow.
Okay, it is. And by the way, no reduction in sight. Okay, there is the economy of the core of Canada, the GTA, Southern Ontario. Folks, I know people outside of Ontario get tired of me saying it, but it's 38% of the entire Canadian population live in one province.
Yeah.
Okay? Sometimes when I talk about Alberta and BC and Ontario, the provinces we serve, that's over 65% of the entire population of the country. So we are a very concentrated population in Canada. It's a huge country geographically, but the people are all in about the same place.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So that's meaningful. And to your point, some people don't qualify for more. They got to stay with their existing lender.
Yeah.
Have you seen evidence that the existing lender knows they're stuck and they're getting offered crappy rates?
It's hard to say because generally speaking, the banks don't offer the best rates up front. What happens?
No, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't. By the way, nobody should be. I don't think people should be angry about that. Like, and because they are offering you in many cases the same rate as they would offer on renewal. They offer about the same rate as they offer to a new customer.
Give or take, yeah.
But this is the thing people need to understand about mortgages. Every single organization that offers a mortgage, whether it's a credit union, whether it's a bank, whether it's one of the many, many lenders that we as mortgage brokers have available to us, which are high quality lenders. They're not B lenders or alternative lenders. They in some cases have the best rates. In most cases, the first rate you hear is never the best rate.
Yeah.
In any and all cases. Okay. Which kind of pisses people off. They think, what is this, fucking mortgages or used cars? Okay.
Yeah.
When you go out and buy a car, you never get the best offer the first time. Yeah, I've talked to my manager. This is the best you can do.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you want to go back to that guy hiding in the office over there, tell him to fuck himself and knock another $2,000 off this Toyota?
And that's not even the final manager.
That's
they can
not
call
even
it the
the
owner
final
and all
asshole.
that.
Okay, yeah, right. So, and I know that's something that people find really, really frustrating about car purchases.
Yeah. Is
that it's a complete fucking game. So you would say to yourself, God, shouldn't my bank do better? Shouldn't my bank, recognizing I'm a good customer, want to give me the very, very best offer the first time?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just going to tell everybody, no, that is not the way the system works. So you'll find them a better deal, and then they'll go in some cases, but in some cases they can't qualify to get that better deal. Not many.
Seldom, but it happens for sure.
It's a clear percentage of everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So what's the story about when you talk to people about the type of mortgage?
Mm-hmm.
Should it be a fixed rate? Should it be a variable rate? Should it be a 5-year? Should it be a 3-year?
Yeah.
What's the kind of the feedback you get from the public?
Well, the way that I approach my calls is always...
I don't care about how you approach your calls, for fuck's sakes. I want to know what the people on the other end of the line think, okay?
Well, but that's important because oftentimes what people come to us thinking may not be the best choice, and we have to explore all the options.
All right, so where do most people start?
So most people right now, I think, are talking variable. Or the 3-year fixed. Those are the two big ones.
Now hold on. That's in many ways. So I'm again, you're taking far more calls from the public than I am. So you're telling me that there's a trend in the calls.
Yeah.
Asking for variable rates.
Yes.
And that is that radically different than you think it was 6 months ago?
I think a certain someone's podcasts and TikToks have had an influence on the market. I think that's probably pretty true.
I don't think I moved the market. But I guess you're right. If I'm the face of Butler Mortgage and I'm talking about variable all the time,
and then if all the other brokers are listening,
but okay, fine. But like the public normally has their own ideas about mortgages. Okay. Yeah. But you're telling me that there is a substantial growth in the people whose initial inquiries about variable rates. Okay. Yeah. You find the people who are still looking for fixed rates, do they often have some kind of misapprehension that the Bank of Canada controls those rates as well?
100%.
That's consistent.
Every single day I will tell a number of people the difference between the fixed rate and the variable, and how variable is affected by the Bank of Canada rates, and then whatever discounts the banks feel like giving you on top of that. And then the fixed rates in Canada being driven by the bond yield, right? And having to explain that to people and so that they can look it up as well, and helping them understand that when bonds are up, shortly after fixed rates come up.
Yields are up.
Bond yields, yes, bond yields, yeah. And the inverse is true as well. And so when people call in and say, "Well, I want a fixed rate because I know it's going to drop," you have to sort of explain the difference.
Because they think there's a specific date which corresponds to the Bank of Canada where fixed rates will drop.
And also, there's the rare advice that I'm hearing from some people saying, "I want to get a variable, but I want to wait until after the Bank of Canada announcement." And I think that's a bad play as well, because what happens frequently is that once the Bank of Canada drops the rate, the bank discounts tend to get reduced as well, right? So you want to lock in a larger discount.
I don't think that's consistently true, but
maybe not. But it has happened in the last couple of months.
Well, that has a lot. One of the things that we all have to accept about mortgage rates themselves is there's a seasonality to it.
Sure.
Okay?
Oh yeah.
Banks want to compete, and I've even talked to bankers, the top executives at the bank, and they've been kind enough to explain to me that in some cases we actually get budgeting for promotional money. And when I'm talking about money, I'm talking about, like, if we're talking about mortgage rates, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars worth of allocation. Okay. Because they say there's times a year where we're given an allocation to spend money to see that we will have lower rates. And there's times of years we don't. Mm-hmm. So it's really easy to understand. The banks want purchases. Mm-hmm. Banks want to compete on two fronts. They want to compete on people who are buying homes to live in, typically, because banks realize that when they're providing mortgages to people who are buying rentals, the bank is just a tool.
Yeah.
The bank is just, shut up about your rest of your products. I don't want any of your investments. I'm a brilliant real estate operator, and I buy tons of rentals, and I don't give a damn about any of your other products. I just want you to give me this mortgage rate on this rental I want to buy, or this rental I want to refinance. And banks have reached a point where unless that customer has a shit ton of other products with that bank, banks don't have any interest in these rental people. I mean, they want to offer them the worst rate if possible.
Yeah.
Because they realize their mortgage product is just being used to facilitate that process.
Well, there's also a high chance it gets sold in the near future. There are a lot of people who have, purchased pre-construction or rentals that they've already agreed to, and they need to get a mortgage on a rental for a short time and then try and sell it because it's just not as profitable as it used to be, right?
Quite right. So it's got the worst churn.
Yeah.
It's got the worst customer loyalty. It's got the worst ancillary product sales associated with it. But also, but banks are very interested in the two things: somebody buying a home to live in.
Yeah.
As a first-time buyer is sort of their ideal candidate, but certainly move-up buyers as well. Most banks today have some method to make sure you take other products when you do that. So they'll offer
guaranteed
offer a cashback incentive.
Yeah,
like a cash incentive here. If you make sure you open up a checking account with us and you take a no-fee credit card, we will make sure you get a great rate, but we'll give you a cash incentive. And that's all about buying properties, okay? Yep. Because here's what banks know. If, particularly for that first-time home buyer, if they can provide the mortgage, get a checking account to take the payment out of, and maybe pick up an ancillary credit product, they can start to work on that client endlessly. Like the truth is, all of us realize that we get constant notifications from banks that we have business with. Okay. Yep. They want to sell us this. They want to sell us that. They want to increase this credit line. They want to offer this new thing. Hey, it's RSP season. Let's talk about, I mean, it's just fucking endless. Okay?
Well, I mean, as big as mortgages seem, you're the one that taught me this, is that mortgages actually represent a reasonably small fraction of the bank's total portfolio, right?
No, it's a huge portion. What I said, it's a very small, it's a smaller profit margin.
Correct. Okay. Yeah.
But it's mortgages are a huge part of it.
They're in the business of making money too, right? So it's when they're looking to make more money, cross-selling and offering these other products are incredibly important to them.
Yeah. In fact, there's some banks who put their entire emphasis only on that issue. If we can't cross-sell multiple products to the mortgage borrower, we're not interested. Or we're only marginally interested at best. So yeah, we see a lot of that. But I think it's important to understand there's a seasonality to purchasing property. So people purchase properties starting in about 8 weeks, 7 weeks. There's going to be a lot of people taking interest. People are going to be looking around because, purchases don't close the next day. I mean, if you find a house in March, it won't close till May. If you find a house in April, it won't close till probably your kids are out of school. So, that's certainly been a historic thing that's very, very clear. And those incentives and those rate discount funds don't show up until that purchase season begins. So the dead of winter in December, January, they are not there because...
So we're approaching one of those seasons is what you're saying, the spring market?
We're approaching, but it's still 6 weeks away.
Yeah, okay.
It typically is a February startup.
So people should be looking at whether they qualify for the mortgage now to get prepared for that.
Yeah, but they just don't. I don't even fucking blame them. I mean, if you're buying a house in Saskatoon, you see, well, fuck. I mean, I'm going to look at open houses. Fuck no, I'm not going to do that. That's ridiculous. I got enough trouble getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to take my kid to hockey practice.
Yeah,
I'm not going to add on to looking at houses in the dark. I'm not going to do that. So it's just a clear thing about a cold country like Canada. For all I know, the selling season in Florida lasts all year. It's all the same.
Not recently, it doesn't.
Yeah, they got their own set of problems. So when we look at those, so you're suggesting that in your day-to-day work, the interest in variable rate mortgages, which if we go back 6 months or 8 months was just non-existent.
Yeah.
It has surged.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are those people's expectations? Where do they think they're the Bank of Canada is going to keep dropping, or what do people tell you?
I think the everyday consumer knows that it will be going down, but not by how much. They call in asking for expertise on that. They say, I know variables going down. Talk to me about what the industry is saying. And, so that's where we just go into people much smarter than me and their predictions and, the likelihood.
Which would be me. Okay. Like let's face it.
Hey, Ron! Hold on a second. What I tell this client?
Hold on a second. I always say this, like the majority of mortgage brokers that I've met, there's some brilliant ones. There's some ones that just knock your socks off. They're so smart, so capable, so
Thank
able.
You.
Relax. So that's a small minority.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say that the average person who's licensed as a mortgage agent in Ontario, the majority have the intelligence of a small woodland animal. Okay. Like they're just one step above a vole or a squirrel. Okay?
Well, I mean, so I think a big part of that is just exposure.
I think they know fuck all about anything. Okay?
Well, here's the thing. The mortgage brokering course teaches you very little about the realities that you're living in. And then I think a large part of misunderstandings and a large part of brokers not really knowing what they're talking about, or agents, I should say too. By the time you're a broker, I hope you know what you're talking about.
Don't bet on it.
That's fair enough. But I think it's just exposure, right? The average agent in their first year does what? 3-5 deals, if that?
Yeah.
If that?
If they're lucky, yeah.
Right? I'm doing that like in 3 days. So, there's a lot going on.
Yeah. Obviously, situations of companies like Butler Mortgage or Rate Hub or True North, it's way above average.
It is, but it's exposure.
But
right?
You went through a long dissertation about these people. I like my summation, like same IQ as a small woodland animal, okay, is what we're talking about with a lot of these guys.
You're probably right. I like to give people credit.
So, no, fuck them. So Well, now here's another thing. We've seen in the last year, we've seen this gradual tightening of underwriting rules.
Yeah.
To the point where I think somewhat fewer people are able to qualify. Is that your experience when you're talking to these hundreds of people you talk to in a week?
It's hard to say, because the people who come to us, generally speaking, are in a realm already where they sort of know they qualify. They've been pre-qualified somewhere else, or maybe they already own a home. That is hard to say. There is a good amount of people who don't have sufficient down payment, or they don't understand, for example, that if they have bad credit and they think they're going to go to a B lender with just 5% down, that's not going to happen.
No.
Right. Yeah. So there is a small portion of people who that does apply to. I think generally the people who come to us already know they can get pre-approved or have been pre-approved somewhere, or they already own a home and they're trying to figure it out.
But sometimes that's pretty tight. Is that fair to say?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Okay. It's tight. The rules are getting harder and harder and harder. And, we're having to compete with so-called experts all across the board too. Even when we're talking with realtors, a lot of the time, the realtors try and tell clients that they can get approved no problem, and they're not in the industry day to day, and they don't understand some of the changes that can happen and some of the specifics and how to qualify.
Yeah, folks, if you're relying on your real estate agent for a pre-approval, please don't. There's a lot of good real estate agents too. All these real estate agents say, fucking fat fuck is bad mouthing us again. I've got a few choice words for Korea that I've had last week, but anyway,
there's 40,000 real estate agents in Toronto, and maybe 4,000 are good, something like that. And it's like 40,000 of them.
No.
In Ontario,
the Treb board is 70,000.
70,000. Okay, yeah. So I'm not crazy.
It's about 65,000.
Okay. I'm a couple years out of date.
No, but there's probably, I'd say there's probably like.
But there's
probably 10 or 12,000 excellent real estate agents
around the Trebs. But what I tell people generally is, look, I'm not here to tell you how to buy and sell a house. Let me tell you how to get the mortgage approved, and it's as simple as that.
But there is some not so great advice running around.
Oh yeah.
All right, we actually reached the favorite part of the program.
Oh.
The favorite part of the program.
So this is where I need Sylvester Stallone. What's my line? This is fucking...
Really? Seriously? You had one line.
I'm so fucking crazy.
You had one fucking line to memorize in this goddamn thing. It's called What the Actual Fuck?
What the Actual Fuck? Yeah. Sasha, remember your lines.
One fucking line. Okay.
It's been nice. I've never invited back.
Really quick. What the actual fuck is that there's been a couple of... there's so much going on. Politics, world events, cities burning down. There's been a lot going on for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And sometimes we can get off the topic that we need to come back to over and over and over again. And lately, in the last couple of weeks, we've had one guy in particular, John Fasalis, who's a great follow on social media.
Yeah.
Came out with a brilliant article about the financialization of housing for the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And another, probably the best economist in Canada makes, I'm just going to give her the best position of the best, Frances Donald at RBC,
mm-hmm.
who runs the show, economic show over there, which is one of the most prestigious positions in Canada for an economist.
Yeah.
If not the most prestigious. Her point in a podcast not too long ago was that the Canadian population is starting to settle into two groups. People who bought a home. Get this, folks. People who bought a home prior to 2015, and people who either bought a home after 2015 or don't own a home currently. They're renting currently. And of those pre-2015 people, their economic success is so vastly superior to the post-2015 or the people who are renting today. And that essentially means for young people, because you didn't get a chance to buy if you were 16 in 2015, you got no opportunity to buy.
Yeah.
So...
not without parent help or someone's help.
Nobody buys a fucking house when they're 16, okay? Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Fair.
But anyway, today, this divide between when people bought a house or didn't buy a house has become such... I'm going to start coming back to it in future podcasts. We're going to talk more about it because this has become this horrible demarcation of success,
mm-hmm.
economic success versus failure in this country There's a lot of reasons behind it. We've covered some of them before. We're going to do it more in depth. But we have got to figure out a way to eliminate this divide. We've got to figure out that if you bought a home when the home prices were semi-rational versus from here on, from 2015 out, they were all batshit crazy, that this is a serious fucking thing and it's all fucking wrong. Has to be dealt with. It's probably the most important thing in our country today. We're going to be talking a lot more about it. Sacha, thank you for joining the pod, even though I'm like endlessly abusive.
Well, the person standing behind you with my employment contract slowly ripping was a good incentive.
That's all. That's always important, folks. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
If you like the pod, well, don't just sit there. Go to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and all the other ones and like the pod. And don't forget to subscribe so we can keep being angry at mortgages and swearing about mortgages. Angry Mortgage could use your support.